Now, the two royals accused of raising concerns over Prince Archie's skin colour before he was even born have now been publicly identified here in the UK after being mistakenly named in the Dutch edition of Omid Scobie's new book. Joining me now is royal commentator and senior fellow at the New Culture Forum, Rafe Heydel-Mankoo. Good morning to you, Rafe.
Good morning. Pleasure to be with you.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, they've been outed by some strange iteration of this Omid Scobie book in Holland, where, for some reason, the translation, which didn't include the names of these two royals who apparently had the finger pointed at them by Harry and Meghan for raising concerns about Prince Archie's skin colour, that somehow a translation that didn't involve their names has been translated to involve their names. Omid Scobie said it's just a horrible mistake. Those books are going to be removed. Last night, my colleague Piers, who of course lost his job at ITV for saying he didn't believe a word that Meghan Markle said, quite rightly, as he was proven completely right on that, and didn't believe that there had been a racist remark made by the royals. Now, the accusation is that, there was this remark, and the two royals who've now been named are now King Charles and the Princess of Wales, Kate. We're asking today whether we have a right to know these names, whether they should have been named. But first of all, can we just refresh our memory with what was actually said by Harry and Meghan? First of all, let's hear what Meghan claimed to Oprah Winfrey in that famous, internationally famous interview way back in 2021.
And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What? About how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
Hold up.
There's
Stop
several
right now.
There's several conversations.
There's a conversation with you?
With Harry.
So again, several conversations with Harry. She wasn't at those conversations. Harry later on joins that interview, but he also spoke about this with ITV's Tom Bradby when he did an interview about when he was launching his book, Spare, and this is what he had to say then.
In the Oprah interview, you accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even...
Well, the British press said that.
Right.
Did Meghan ever mention that they were racist?
She said there were troubling comments about Archie's
there was
skin
concern
colour.
about his skin colour.
Right. Wouldn't you describe that as essentially racist?
I wouldn't, not having lived within that family.
I mean, very, very typical Harry there. So, just deliberately sort of being a bit obstructive there. I think, Rafe, we all interpreted concerns about her unborn baby's skin colour as that if that happened would be a racist remark in the way she talked about it. Because I think most people think that actually it was if it did happen, and she wasn't at the conversation, it was a conversation that many families would have where there's a prospect of a mixed-race baby being born.
That's precisely right. And it's not just Meghan who should get our ire here. It's also Oprah Winfrey in the pathetic way in which she responded to that. Because you know full well, if Oprah Winfrey had been married to somebody who was ginger or who was Chinese, or who was a blue-eyed Swede, she'd be wondering, and all her family would be wondering about how their child would look. It's just human nature. And, the royal family always avoid trying to get involved in these sorts of storms. And we don't actually know if the allegations are true.
Exactly.
But I think it falls on the rest of us to actually try to change this narrative, just as you've just tried to do there, and say, well, so what? Who cares? Because it's not in the slightest bit racist to be curious about a mixed-race baby. In fact, it's hardly ever reported, but Prince Harry himself publicly admitted that he himself had wondered what his baby would look like when he appeared on America's popular show with Stephen Colbert, the Late Late Show, where he said that before he and Meghan had kids, he wondered if his ginger gene would stand up to his wife's gene.
But it is a joke. I say, I married a man who was very, very ginger. It's just a running joke in the family about, what our child would look like. Totally innocent. But this is the thing. There's so many different layers to this. It's hearsay. It's a claim about a claim. There were conversations. Harry says it wasn't a racist conversation. William has said we're not a racist family. But a claim being made basically against her father-in-law and her sister-in-law that they'd had a racist conversation. That is what everyone interpreted as. Now, of course, look, whether you're a monarchist or a Republican in this country, at the end of the day, you've got someone claiming on the world stage that the family, the first family of our nation, basically, establishment, constitutional monarch of our country, is a racist. I don't think that most people believe that he is, believe that Kate is, that these remarks were made with any intention like that. But that is nevertheless very damaging to the family, to the internal relationships, but it's damaging to our country as well. I think that's why a lot of people took an awful lot of offence at that.
Actually, that's what's so despicable about this. For such a natural curiosity to have been twisted, distorted by Meghan and by her odious lackey Scobie, I think is beneath contempt, because they may not have used the word racism, but they know how explosive and damaging such an accusation is, particularly in today's free-bar world. Is always going to be interpreted and twisted into racism. And today, other than calling someone a paedophile, there's nothing more incendiary, or danger or damaging than calling someone a racist. And that they allowed that to go ahead, to me, is unforgivable. Now, you said, of course, that Prince Harry has said that his family isn't racist, but it took him 2 years to come out with that. 2 painful long years after the Oprah interview, during which his family was raked over the coals, his reputation was attacked, traduced and severely damaged, while Harry sat on the sidelines
and didn't say anything. And then said, oh, no, we never said that. Now, the thing is, the R word, the racist word, I mean, again, they never used that word, but they knew that's what everyone else was saying. And the fact that Prince William did actually say at the time, we're not a racist family, that word was being bandied around. They would have seen the headlines. We know they look at the headlines. They're always suing people for headlines in newspapers. But the thing about this, we know this is a word that gets bandied around all the time. I'm always very wary about this. I don't like any of these accusations against public figures, whether I like them or not, where, whether it's Me Too, whether it's things like that, I wasn't there, I don't know. The whole, guilty until proven innocent, the turning on its head of our system of justice in this country these days, I do find extraordinary. Basically trial by media an awful lot of the time. But also the use of the R word. I've got a very, very good friend right now who is going through the courts through a libel case, having been, I believe, completely falsely accused of being a racist. I've been falsely accused of being a racist, but just for saying the most... I mean, I don't think we should have unlimited mass immigration in this country. That apparently is a racist thing. That word is bandied around an awful lot. People should be very wary. That is a word that we should be using only when we are very, very sure of our facts.
Absolutely. And I actually think it actually behooves Prince Harry now to actually come out and publicly denounce his propagandist-in-chief, Omid Scobie. I think if he doesn't do that, he's doing his family a huge disservice, and he's doing the country a huge disservice, and any hope of a reconciliation with his family in the short...
I think we can safely say that the Christmas lunch invitation is over, can't we? That's not going to happen. Really appreciate you joining us there. Thank you. That's Rafe Heydel-Mankoo. Thank you very much indeed. He's a royal commentator.